What's going on, homies? It's your boy Stump back for an OPTC video, and in today's video, we're doing a bit of a PvP meta guide breakdown for you guys, as I like to do at all these big milestone celebrations. The last time we did this was 3 months ago for the One Piece Day celebration, and a lot has changed in the PvP meta. The game has evolved drastically over in Pirate Rumble. So hopefully in today's video it gives you guys a bit of an understanding of what characters work best on what teams. We're focusing on the 5 colors because look, PvP is pretty much made up of the 5 color based teams. And then I have 3 featured class teams that are very, very powerful and basically rule the meta as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Just be mindful that this is just my personal opinion, playing the game, teams that I like to use, and also reading the characters' kits. But with PvP, like, obviously, like, there isn't really, like, one team that just dominates everything. There's always a counter to something, and as of, like, the colors, like, strength beats dex, dex beats quick most of the time. So, we're in a bit of a weird meta where classes are back on top, but, hey, that could shift, and in 3 months' time, when we're back doing this video, we could see something very, very different. But like I said, hopefully you enjoy the video. If you do, but like button, hit the subscribe button. With that said, let's dive into the meta PvP teams. Alright, so starting it off with the Strength team, and Strength have seen a very slight shift in their meta-based team. We have the release of the New Year's Legend of Luffy, Gear 5, who's very, very strong. He actually can walk in on a Strength team very nicely, but, like, Strength still has the king. Like, you still have the absolute monstrosity that is Film Red Luffy, and he still does so much damage that there's just no reason to replace him. What they did gain was, they did gain a level limit break for the waifu unit. Now, the waifus actually just buff strength now. They don't have any, like, shenanigans with strength strikers or anything like that. Their confusion is now in a large range, and they do a little bit more fixed damage. They also get a level 10 shield at the start of the fight, so, like, they're a fantastic, like, unit to slap in the middle. They can eat hits and do some really fun stuff there. Obviously, we're still using Kobe strats. You do want to bring Sanji for some cooldown reduction, but then you got Christmas Uta. Now, Christmas Uta is basically just a stand-in for either Blackbeard or Jack. Now, I do know a lot of people aren't going to have Christmas Uta, like myself. Like, you should not have touched that banner. But on PvP, like, she's very, very good. And I've seen her on a lot of defensive-based teams. She works wonders. She gives level 7 defense, HP, and I believe attack. She has cooldown reduction as well with her special, which obviously works very nicely when you are running Film Red Luffy. She can do some really disgusting things. But if you guys don't have Uta like myself, I'm running Blackbeard, but then if you don't have Blackbeard, obviously you have level limit break 5 Jack. Jack gets the buffs from Kobe with the cooldown reduction that way. He goes very quick, and the nice HP cuts work great, especially in Grand Party. Fantastic Grand Party option, but Uta, she's pretty much like the best option here. As for other characters that made a sort of rise in the strength tier list, Vivi definitely moves up into elite subs. She works great because, like, Free Spirit have those extra buffs. If you are running, say, this particular Luffy, you're getting the extra 3 attack for Free Spirit and strength, so, like, Vivi's doing really, really nice things. The extra CD reduction is really, really fun as well. Ace, unfortunately, made his way out of the meta team, and we did find a way to bring in Sandersonia now because we have the wife. Sandersonia needs a Boa or a Marigold on the team, and hell, you could easily just run Marigold as, like, an extra bench option if you guys don't have the waifus at level in rank 5 or 4, whatever it is you need to get their PP abilities. You can easily run this, but, like, Akainu and Kuma, like, they're just better. Like, they're just straight up better. Like, they're great back-end fight options. Cooldown reduction of Sandersonia is awesome, and honestly, King's just, like, he's such a whiff character for me now. Like, he just never goes when I need him to. I'd much rather run, like, Marigold or even, like, Law as a back-end sort of damage dealer. As for the rest of the options, like Otama, I definitely brought her up a little bit higher just because Grand Party, she's seeing some really, really good value. Obviously, advantageous, like, these characters are going to just be subbed in if you are versing, like, Dex. Like, that Dex team is so nasty, but if you bring in something like Kaku, like, over, say, push Sanji to the bench, drop off, say, like, Sandersonia, and then bring, like, Kaku in the bench as, like, a die option, you can do some really, really fun stuff against that really pesky defensive Dex team. But that strength, it's in a pretty good spot. Like, it's definitely not in, like, it probably is around that top 5 discussion, but I think they're just outside as of right now. As for the Quick team didn't get that much buffed, but it did receive a 6+ and a PvP Legend, so they did get a little bit. Magellan was the character that sort of walked in to my meta-based team. Now, this Quick team obviously is sort of built up around Blackbeard. He's like the asterisk for this quick team because it's very centric around Driven and Powerhouse characters with Cross Guild, and then just the full Powerhouse makeup that it is, with the bench options of, what's his name? Blue Jam, Porchemi, and Kanjuro. You can also bring in stuff like S-Hawk on the bench here. You could even run some of those crazier PvP legends and stuff like that too. Like, you could easily just run this guy on the bench as well. But the quick team I like to run looks like this. It moves fast, it hits hard. It's just very, very good. You have a lot of like Nuson stuff with the rollback abilities here of Cross Guild, Blackbeard, and Smoothie. Works out great. But with the release of Fuji and Green Bull, you can do some really, really cool things with these like slasher-based characters now. Like, you've got Momo, you've still got Cross Guild. You could run Smoothie, and you can do some fun stuff with Luffy and his cooldowns too. I have been mucking around with like a fighter slasher centric build because of this particular character, and it works really, really well. It's very wonky, and it's kind of like you build the team tailor-made to what you want to fight. But as for like a meta round team, like, this is the team here that I love running, with the exception of some of these like sub options. Like Kandra, I'd probably just have S-Hawk there. Magellan, his haste ability is awesome. He hits hard, he lowers defense, he makes Kaido hit disgustingly hard. And then basically with these three characters, you can just get these two popping off twice before the enemy even has a chance to use their special. So, works really, really well. Kills a lot of things very, very fast. If you are going up against like strength builds, you can just run this anyway because Kaido is like super advantageous. You can bring into Zoro if you want, like if you don't have like Magellan 6+. I believe that was like the big change. Unfortunately, you can't bring in Luffy because of Kaido, but if you like don't have Kaido 6+, you don't have him level 11 Breakwind, you could easily just substitute this Luffy into. He is an absolutely fantastic option for the front lines as well. On to decks now. They probably got the biggest buff since the last time I did this video. They received two of the most disgusting PvP units we've seen in the entire game. Well, three, actually. They have Big Mom Katakuri, technically, because even though they're typeless, they can fit on this sort of dex-based team. But they also have Pizarro and San Juan Wolf. They literally came out right after the One Piece Day celebration to sort of work alongside versus Blackbeard. And these two units are so disgusting. You need 5 Driven or Powerhouse for San Juan Wolf, or 5 Free Spirit and Powerhouse for Bizarro, and they just do monstrous things. You're debuffing the enemy, you're getting so much defense. You can hold out fights with the defense and the counter and the shield that San Juan Wolf gives. The damage that Kaido provides, and then Ace with the lowering defense is great. And then you've also got the CD reduction of Pell in the front lines to help you just get those specials off a little bit faster. You do need to bring a Garp though, because like versus Kaido does limit your Luffy options, which is a little bit of a problem. But like, because you have 3 monstrous PvP units in the front line at all 20 cost, you can run these two behemoths on the bench. You've got Big Mom and you've got Lucci just like lurking on the bench, both being powerhouse characters as well. They buff decks. Like, Lucci lowers defense, hits ridiculously hard. So if you have something like crazy happen early, like you come up against a strength team that's like got super haste ability, Kobe hits Luffy, and then you lose one of these frontline characters. Like, you just got so much coming off the bench. The downside is Garp here. If you guys don't have this Garp, you can run like the 20 cost Garp from the Kazuna shop. Go pick up 1 copy, just slap him on the bench. He's not really doing too much anyway, and which kind of sucks. But if you don't like that, you can easily sub out Ace. I do know that some of my alliance members are doing stuff with Big Mom Katakuri. They're a fantastic unit that you can just sort of bring into the front lines here, and then just sort of just push Pell to the bench. You could push Kaido to the bench if you want to as well. Have him coming in for damage later, depending on what you really need late game. If you want the CD reduction earlier, if you just want to tank out the sort of like the start of the fight. Hell, you can even run San Juan Wolf on the bench, and just like once Big Mom Katakuri bites the dust, you just have San Juan Wolf coming in. But if we're talking traditional decks, more dex-based builds, this is kind of what you're looking at in terms of what I would run in terms of my meta-based build. You could easily throw on Blackbeard here as well. Like, he's another sort of asterisk for this team. Say you don't want to run, what's his name? Ace, and you don't want to run Garp on the bench. Just throw Blackbeard there, replace Garp with another really powerful unit like Dalton or Bullet, and you've easily got your 5 powerhouse character makeup there. You can do some really, really fun stuff with decks. It's kind of disgusting. Like, it's kind of gross, purely because of these two characters here. These two characters also can be run on the bench of this team over here as well. So, really, really foul things. As for other characters, sort of dropped off in the meta. Dofi sort of seen his time. Luffy, I dropped down. Obviously, with the shooter-centric team not being so prevalent anymore, I've dropped down some of those characters as well. Usopp, S-Shark, Frankie, for example. You can do some really fun stuff with them still. Like, Usopp's basically just like a mini Blackbeard, and Frankie hits ridiculously hard being a powerhouse unit as well. You can run stuff like Roger if you want more powerhouse characters. Finally, we had Halloween Uta. Halloween Uta was really, really good in Rumble. I've come up against her a couple times, and she does some really fun things, but she's definitely not like the crux of what the powerhouse team's doing. It's unfortunate, but like, this makeup is just, it's so annoying to deal with, especially if you have Kaido with some investment coming in the last 50 seconds. He's just going to blow away teams. Like, it's really unfair. To Sai now. The meta team for Sai changed a little bit, but we didn't have that many buffs for Sai over the last 3 months. We literally have 3 characters to add to this tier list for Sai. Like, I don't know. Like, did they just forget that the typing exists? Or, I don't know what they were doing, but they're literally the only changes we made, and they walked in on the team. Honestly, I don't have Garp, so I can't really test this team per se, but I have fought Garp, trust me, and he is a menace. As long as you have 5 Sai characters on the team, he auto-proxy special, which is just damage through defense. It's exactly what Sai needs, and it goes ridiculously hard. You just need to have a Luffy or a Kobe on the team, so I put Kobe here. If you guys don't have this Kobe, though, you can just sub in, like, this Luffy. They're just going to walk in on the team just to help out Garp a little bit. Saul is a fighter character as well, which these 3 characters sort of built up around. S-Bear and Law are giving cooldowns and then forced out. So, like, they're kind of, like, staples for the front line just to sort of help these 3 flourish. And this combination right here, it's ridiculously strong. We have Shanks on the bench as well. Like, if you don't want to run Shanks, like I said, you can easily just bring in Luffy here. Luffy's buffing free spirit, though, which is a little bit of a problem. And then you have some damage output with Smoothie and Zoro on the bench. They're kind of in a weird spot, but, like, they still hit really hard. They're still a very prominent team if you go up against them. As for characters that have dropped off, like, we did lose Yamato, Enel from the front lines. You can do some really fun stuff with strikers, though, with this, like, sort of core striker-based build here. That's going to work very, very nicely, and then just run, like, an S-Bear for some forced-out shenaniganry. Definitely going to work in your favor if you want to try something like that, especially if you're going up against Int. I did bring Sanji down to advantageous. He's actually ridiculously good, just in, like, a staple as a character, but I find myself only using him now if I'm versing Int. So they're in a weird spot. They were great in Grand Party, but everywhere else they're kind of a little bit lackluster. So it's a bit of a shame. But if once I pull up, I'm really keen to try this makeup. So hopefully I pull him on a ticket soon. As for the Int team still rules the roost. It's still one of the best teams in the game. I did get a couple of very big buffs in the last 3 months. Big one being Sabo for the New Year celebration. Sabo kind of just like walked in on the team over Bonnie. Bonnie's still fantastic though, so if you still want to run Bonnie for the like shenanigans of rolling back specials, you definitely can. But what Sabo provides is a very low cooldown. He gives haste ability, which can trigger stuff like S-Hawk very quickly. He gives very good passive, and he has a shield, so he can kind of hold his own in the middle slot. You're not worried about Yamato dying too quickly. You kind of still want her to die, though, because like that auto-proc is still really, really crazy. And it works out just absolutely fantastically if you can get that off. But Sabo, he's just great. As for the rest of the team, it's exactly the same as what you saw last 3 months. Like, Blackbeard has just, like, still held his own as a fiery force in the front lines of this team. You just need to make sure that your bench is powerhouse-centric. You got to run this Luffy as well, because he's a powerhouse character. If you guys don't have, like, Yamato, if you don't have the S-Hawk, you can bring in the new Waifu 6+. When you guys receive that character in May, you'll understand how powerful she actually is. Works great on Free Spirit teams, works great on Int teams, but I found that, like, the main core of the character works well over here on Int. Next, we got York. York's kind of she really wants you to run cerebral-driven Int characters, and, like, it's very hard to do that. We have a couple, like, being, like, Stussy and the Lucci boys, but, like, it's very hard to get the 5 cerebral-driven and then also put her in on an Int team. But, like, as a back-end sub, like, she works great. She's so tanky. She has a great counter ability. You can easily just run her, say, over, like, S-Hawk if you guys are struggling there. Next, we have, like, the sword members, the Prince Guru or Hishu. I don't know their names. They're actually really, really good in Rumble. They have a confusion ability. They have a shield mechanic. They are so annoying to deal with on shooter and striker teams. But you can literally just throw them in as a nuisance on any other team. But Int is the team that they're going to work exceptionally well on. They're kind of a character you just want to throw in if you're going up against something that you're really struggling, like a challenge fight, and just like hoping to get the win there. But Int, they're great. Like there's not much to say about them, except they're just so ridiculously powerful. And yeah, this Vegapunk should probably go up to great subs. He actually got a bit of a rise with obviously York as well, but Ints are just fantastic. Like you got Atlas at your disposal, you got Pudding you could run Chopper. Like the elite sub options to fill in the meta team are so powerful that you can just run this team in so many different ways. Class-based teams now, and I'm going to start off with Slashers. Slashers probably aren't exactly in the top 5 anymore, but I definitely wanted to highlight them as they did receive some pretty crazy buffs, and their ceiling, as I spoke about in the Fuji Greenbull video, is disgustingly high. With the release of Super Special, teams have just sort of seen an absolute disgusting rise. Mainly with Roger Ellie Gaban, and then you also have like the Carrot and Sulongs. The Waifu 6+ character has one as well. Odin, Kinemon, Dendro have one, and then obviously the Powerhouse monstrosities of Big Mom Katakuri and Kaido King. You do need to have 9 copies of the character for this to work, though. Or you just spam a whole bunch of posters. Once you do get, say, Roger Rayleigh Gaban to level limit break 5, you can do some absolutely disgusting things. Like some ridiculous things. 60% HP cut to literally everyone is wild. 100% hard stats, and then damage is just crazy. S-Hawk's hitting like an absolute freight train. You've got the really low CD of Shanks, who I actually brought up into the team over Anniversary Shanks. On paper, Anniversary Shanks is just better, but like in practicality, Shanks just works so damn nicely. And then you could run your 4 in characters, being Brook for the Zoro Sanji strats, and then you also have Cat Viper, who are also buffing slashes off your bench option as well. Fuji, Green Bull, you could easily run like this on the bench and then bring the Giants into the front line. But I found that with the heal of Fuji and Green Bull, they actually work really well as just like a center counter unit. Let them soak up shots, get low, pop off their special. They do a bunch of damage, which is awesome. They have the chance of action money, which can just like throw a bunch of teams into disarray. But then they also heal themselves back up, which allows you to sort of like keep the fight going towards the back end, where then this character comes in with the half stats. Roger Rayleigh Gaban can also heal too. They're also doing half stats. But you have this character coming in, the Giants just hitting so damn hard at the back end of a fight that if you like lose pieces of the puzzle early, you're still secure with your bench. But at the later fight, like this unit can just clean up. However, if you get level limit break 5 on the Sulongs, you definitely want to do something like this. Like this is just gonna have to be like a must. The level 5 Sulong special will always trigger because on death they proc their special, and you only need to take specials twice. Unlike Kaido King and Odin Kinemon Dendro, you only need to take 2 specials with these 2 units. So you're getting a full shield, full counter mechanic from this particular character. Let them die, and then you have Fuji and Green Bull come into that middle slot to then do exactly what I was just talking about. However, everyone else has a shield, everyone else has a counter mechanic, and it just works so damn nicely. So it's going to be pretty rare that people have level limit break 5 Carrot and Sulongs, but eventually you will get it because they are a regular ticket legend, and they are probably going to be the first super special character that everyone maxes out when it comes to legends. Like 99% of people that don't want to spam potions and posters and summon on every goddamn banner. But as for notable changes, we did obviously drop some subs and stuff like that. Elite subs, slashers have so many options. You guys don't have like say Cat Viper, you can easily just bring in like Dory and Brogy. If you guys don't have if you guys don't have this particular PP legend, you can easily substitute these guys in, drop off say Dory Brogy, and then run something like Odin for cooldown reduction. You have Cracker for cooldown reduction. You can do some more damage output with K-Dad. Hell, you can even run Roger, like regular Roger if you really want to. He's probably a great sub now just because like these 2 characters are just so much better. The problem with Rogers are they just share the name Roger. If not, you would just run all 3 of these characters because they're so fucking good, man. So freaking good. But the team that got the most disgusting buff over the last 3 months has been Free Spirit. With the release of Roger Rayleigh Gaban, Odin Kinemon Dendro, if you have these characters at level break 5 and they're popping off their super specials, you can do some absolutely disgusting things. But on top of that, they received a PvP legend, so they finally got a 20 cost character. They received this monstrosity that can revive 2 times. You have this 20 cost character that just like makes out the 8-man team very nicely. And you can do some really disgusting things. Free Spirit are so damn powerful right now. The only downside to Free Spirit is they have a bunch of characters that share the same names. Which is a little bit annoying. Like the Waifu 6+ I would love to run, but Nami Karina is pretty much a staple. Odin Kinemon Dendro have a forced out mechanic against Driven and Powerhouse, and this can be really valuable when you're taking on that pesky Powerhouse team, which we'll talk about literally after this. That can be the difference maker. But if you have them at level limit break 5, like they are a must run. They will guarantee forced out to 3 units on their super special. It's a bit hard to get though because you do need to take 3 specials. But once you get that, it's just curtains, man. It's so freaking strong, like so ridiculously strong. You got Bizarro, he's just nerfing characters because you have all Free Spirit lineup. Luffy, like I said, with the revive, his damage for defense is great. And then you have Kuzen come in who can lower defense and do some fun stuff. For some fights too, you could easily do this and bring Kuzen in the front lines just to get that extra defensive drop, the extra speed drop, and then have Bizarro come in late game for special binding and the attack down drops and whatnot. But most of the time, your main lineup's going to look like this. Otama's fantastic in Grand Party. You can run Sandersonia. But look, for me, like here, I have like S-Hawk and I can't even remember who the other unit is. Brook. This Brook down wherever I put him. The Int Brook. Not this Int Brook. The other Int Brook. I just might have just forgotten him on the tier list somewhere. Oh well. He's the PvP rare recruit, Brook, the one that we had on the Slasher team. He's just like a really good option to have at the back end, and then you have S-Hawk come in as well. So, Roger Elegabon also buffing Slashers, so you can kind of do that at the back end as well. If Roger Elegabon doesn't die and not that level in break 5, once that special goes, it's ridiculously strong. So, Free Spirit have honestly like made it to like the top of the list. Like they could easily argue to be the best team in the game if you really want them to. But as a baseline, this is probably the best team in the game. Powerhouse driven. It's become more of a powerhouse driven, and last month, the last time I did this video, I actually said that this powerhouse team, like, keep an eye out on for it, because it has a disgusting ceiling, and it could just get way out of control way too fast. And that's all it happened. On the 10.5 anniversary, they released Big Mom Katakuri, they released Kaido King. We also got Sanjuan Wolf and Bizarro, and the whole team changed. Like as you can see, literally the whole team has changed. To the sense that Blackbeard is pretty much the only one that's still there, and obviously Strength Luffy just being a bench option now, which is wild to have Strength Luffy as a bench option. But Blackbeard, you have 5 powerhouse characters. He's popping up with all the nerfs. Just an absolute meta destructor. He's just so freaking good. And honestly, he's probably the best PvP character in the game now that I look at it. Like, him and Strength Luffy probably equal, but, like, he's so freaking good. The defensive prowess of Sanjuan Wolf and Big Mom Katakuri is just, like, unrivaled. You have, like, counter mechanics going out the wazoo. You have shields. You have revive. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Bizarro does disruption with his special bind, his half stats. And then Kaido and King. Man, Kaido and King get that super special off. You have them at level in break 5 as well. They are just killing everything. And remember, like, this team right here, in my opinion, is the best team in the game. However, if you have everything at level in break 5, this Free Spirit team can trump them, purely because of Odin, Kinemon, Dendro, with their forced out mechanic and stuff like that. However, there is ways to get around that. You could easily bring in, like, this Kaido over Kaido King, make it more of, like, a Dex powerhouse-centric build, as I spoke about with the Dex team. You could easily just sort of run it like this, and then you don't have to worry about forced out on Kaido, and you can do some really disgusting damage there. But that's if you are going more towards color powerhouse teams rather than actual just like the powerhouse team and what it looks like. The bench is disgusting. You have Luffy, S-Hawk, and Pell, the best level limit break PvP rare recruit, probably the best PvP legend, and then one of the best PvP units just in general on your bench is just absolutely absurd. So if you lose one of these frontline monstrosities, this character comes in and can kind of clean house. The one downside I find to this team is damage output. Ironically, like, getting enough damage output to sort of take down teams quickly can be a little bit annoying. It's not like the be-all end-all, but it just can be a little bit frustrating to deal with when, like, you're getting down to the wire and the enemy has, like, 2 units left, and you get timed out and you have your entire squad and you're like, dude, come on, like, what? But nevertheless, the team is disgusting. Like, it's a really good defensive team, and it does wonderful things. You could easily bring in Wipeout and Ace, the new Super Sugo too. They're really good. I do find that just Luffy on the bench is it's way more valuable. Hell, run Luffy in the front lines if you want to, man. Like, you just get more damage output with Luffy, bro. But the death proc that Ace and Wipeout provide, the damage output that they can give, can be really nice if you guys wanted to do something like this for a more traditional powerhouse sort of team, and then don't have the clash of the counter mechanic of Big Mom Katakuri as well as Sanjuan Wolf. You could easily do something like that. I think this is what I did in my showcase for them. But I honestly just think that Luffy on the bench just provides that little bit more extra touch if something dies early. Because remember, like, Blackbeard, he can die pretty quickly. A lot of people won't have him at level limit break 5 or won't have him at rush 5, so just be mindful of that as well. Extra bench options, you could run York on the bench if you want to, over something like Pell. You have the 5 powerhouse characters in the front line anyway. Cracker's good for some CD reduction if you want to change up his front line here. And then you got, like, Kuma you could run on the bench for a little bit more damage. You could run King if you really want to. Smoothie for some disruption. And then as you kind of go down to the grade subs, you just kind of have, like, other characters that could sort of fit in if you were doing more class-based stuff, color-based stuff. But as it stands right now, this is the best team in the game, in my opinion. It's feral, man. It's absolutely feral. After that being the best team in the game, I do have Free Spirit as my second best team. They've just had such a rise with some of these absolutely crazy units being Luffy and then Kuzan. Just making out, and Pizarro, obviously, Roger Elegabon too, making out that 8-man team. They have a lot more viability, they have a lot more structure, and they work really, really nicely. Followed then by, we have Int. Int is still so damn strong. They just have so many options, man. Like, look at this. Like, look at these elite subs, man. Like, you just have so many really good characters that you can throw into the lineup to do some absolutely wild things. After that, we got decks. Decks coming at 4th. Like, you can make decks like in multiple different ways, as I spoke about. Easy run Blackbeard, easy run Big Mom Katakuri. Do some really foul things. They're great on defense. They can surprise teams. They've got great bench options. But like, as you guys are probably seeing, like these 2 characters here is just what's making up some of these really disgusting teams. Remember, on Int, you can easily just throw them here. Like, and that is your powerhouse makeup there. So, their Dex team coming in at 4th for me as the 4th best team. And then as for the 5th best team in the game, Slashers are up there if you have this guy at level Limit Break 5. You can definitely do some really crazy things. But without him level Limit Break 5, does make it a little bit challenging. This quick team goes ridiculously hard. It can sort of like just nip things in the butt very quickly, very fast. Strength, obviously, with the Christmas Uta, can do some wild things. Level Limit Break 5 waifus and their confusion strats, they can also disrupt some things as well. And then Sai with Garp can do some really powerful things too. So as for whatever team comes in 5th, like, it's anyone's guess nowadays. I think Quick probably has it down pat because of like Blackbeard and just his destruction of the meta. But look, I'm going to give it to Slashers because of the roof that this character actually brings, the roof that this character brings as well. And if you guys tried to take on that PvP Slasher fight and just saw what the power of those characters can do, you'll understand that too. But that's going to wrap up the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to go down there, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please make sure you enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.